today, one of our newest members to FEO, David, is going to present to us back injury prevention. And so we're all very excited to see this, this presentation. So let's give David a warm welcome as he presents.
Thank you. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, everyone, for your warm welcome. Good morning. Each of us has a back, and we need to protect it well because it's one of the most important parts of our bodies. My dad has back problems. He has since he was about my age. And when I was like 17, 18 years old, he was in bed for 9 days, unable to work, unable to do anything. None of us wants that. Kind of stinks. It's not fun. So let us go forth. The first thing I'd like to do is present a sales pitch for a bent-over sumo wrestler who would probably prevent injuries if we just took a look at him every day. He's for sale at skymall.com for a mere $250. Yeah, you'll first find him on a blog for $225, but that was in 2007, and they have since increased the price, probably because he's been so profitable to them. So, going on, the anatomy of our spine. We have 33 vertebrae. There are 4 sections to the vertebrae. The first is the cervical section, the arrow to the top. I don't know how many vertebrae are in that. I don't know how many vertebrae are in each section. The second section is the thoracic area of the spine. And then you have the lumbar and the sacrum coccyx, I think is how you pronounce that. And then the vertebrae in the lumbar section, so right in here, right around here, the lower back, basically. Bear the greatest load and are most often injured. Yeah, but basically because when you bend over, the first muscles that you're going to lift with are these here, and it's going to put a ton of pressure on the nerves right there. So the last muscles that you lift with are your upper back muscles. So let's go forth. Causes of back pain. Poor body mechanics. Lifting incorrectly. Basically that is lifting with your back, not with your legs. Lifting too much with your arms. Even doing this, like going over and doing this, you're still going to have to lift up with your back. So don't do that. Go down and use your legs as best as possible. Twisting your body abruptly or awkwardly or sitting in unnatural positions. Now, unnatural, like you kind of wonder, like, what's an unnatural position? You know, we can kind of sit however we want, can we? Can we not? And then, so an unnatural position is really just like not like slouching down, like when you're holding your baby, like I have been lately. You're like, you just want to relax on the couch and bend your back and all that. That'll supposedly hurt our backs over time. So be as watchful as you can. Like, is it Octavio? Or I forget your name, I'm sorry. Like slouching over?
Marcelo.
Marcelo, I'm sorry. Lo siento muchísimo. Like slouching over when you're sitting, that'll like put some stress on your upper back. So, case in point, in February or maybe March, I was working landscaping in Duncanville, and I was transplanting a crepe myrtle, and I didn't have proper equipment at the where I worked, and I didn't have a skid loader to lift up this huge root ball or anything, and so I had to strap a tow rope around the root ball after you pickaxed it out and rip it out to put it in another hole and use a truck to do that. And then I had to twist it and stuff. And so when I was twisting, I tore a muscle in my abdominal wall. So I didn't hurt my back, but the twisting cannot just affect your back, but it can also affect your abdominal wall. They thought I had a hernia for a little while, and then they ruled that out. So I still deal with that 6 months later. And so don't do it. It's not fun. It's not worth it. It'll save you a lot of time and a lot of hurt. Weak under-exercised muscles is another issue. If you're lifting too much is a problem. You have to know how much you can lift, really, and just don't test the limits. We don't need he-men here. Extra weight, like on your, I think it's listed here somewhere on the slides, but 10-pound high heels, worn soles, but 10 pounds of extra weight in your belly, it puts about 100 pounds of extra weight on your lumbar section. So that's being carried around all the time and wearing you out. So high heels, worn soles. If you run, if you need new running shoes, get new running shoes, etc. And high heels. Most of us don't deal with that. The ladies here do. Hopefully, they're the only ones that do. Improper diet. Eat well. If your muscles aren't energized like they need to be, your back can bear the brunt of that when you're lifting and so forth. So, and a lack of sleep. Your muscles are much more prone to injury when you haven't slept enough because they're fatigued, they're worn out. They're like whenever we run or lift weights or lift or work or whatever, what's happening is our muscles are tearing. And so when you go and lift weights, you tear the fibers of your muscles so that they can heal. And so that's why they recommend that you wait like a day between like doing upper body stuff so that your muscles can fully heal. And that healing process takes place when you're sleeping. So if you're not sleeping enough, then that healing process is not taking place, and you're much more prone to injury there in that case. A couple other, this kid was pretty impressive, I thought. I don't have a clue how this happened. I see the rocks under there, but so maybe it was propped up, but that's pretty talented. He's probably Russian, and I would recommend not attempting that on your own. And then getting older doesn't help either. These people have obviously not taken care of their backs as they're slunched over crossing the street. I haven't seen too many of these, but I'm sure it's a movement to help old people all over the country. So really, our backs just wear out over time as well. So some things we just can't. You can be as careful as you can be throughout your life, but you're still going to have some back pain and back problems just because you're human. And we live in a fallen world, don't we? So that's part of it. Prevention is the best medicine. Some ways to prevent a back injury. Most back pain arises from using your back improperly. Use exercise, good posture, good lifting techniques. Use your legs, not your back, to help keep your back in good shape. Now, stretching is another thing. These were some of the first pictures of animals that came up. Bears like to stretch a lot, it seems. And there's even a yoga blog for bears. It's pretty interesting. So check it out. But it does feel good. But it's uncertain from medical and military research whether stretching helps to prevent injuries. It was found in the Navy, I believe, in a survey that was done over the last decade or so, that men and women who had greatest flexibility and least flexibility were 2 to 3 times more likely to be injured. People with average flexibility, whatever that means exactly, I don't know, but people with average flexibility were least likely to be injured, were 2 to 3 times less likely than those other people to be injured. So Runner's World has dealt with the issue and so forth. So traditionally, we would think stretching prevents injury. It does feel good. I stretch pretty often. I stretched last night for a while. I really don't know how people go without stretching, to be honest, but there's not hard proof one way or the other. That's one survey done by the military. And then a lot of physical therapists are not encouraging stretching anymore. They'll let people do it, but you're going to find things both ways if you look into it. There's a man that a 75-plus-year-old man who was the first 75-plus-year-old to finish a marathon in under 3 hours, doesn't stretch. And so he was scared that he was going to be a bad example to people. And so he's been involved in interviews and different things too. So it's really kind of a hot topic in the physical therapy and medical world. Is stretching at all a viable? Does it prevent injury? Does it help? And the answer is uncertain. So sorry for that, but that's part of it. So going on, exercising to strengthen your back is something you need to do. Going into the workplace, back pain and back injury is the most common cause of missed work hours and missed days at work. So that's something you will need to know. If you have too much weight, lose weight. That's one of the ways to prevent back injury. I said that a little bit ago. I said this, 10 pounds of extra weight in the abdomen equals 100 pounds of pressure on the spine. Check with your doctor for the most sensible diet plan for you, if you do that. I've never checked with my doctor about a sensible diet plan. We have a lot of commercials about sensible diet plans. There are a ton of sensible diet plans, I think. So just eat well. Maintain good posture is another. Even sleeping, there's recommendation that you sleep on a firm mattress or place plywood between your box springs and the mattress for good back support. And then even using like a pillow between your legs or under your knees for support. None of us will probably do this, let's be honest. But these are recommendations from medical personnel like throughout the country. Drive with your back straight against the seat, close enough to the wheel so your knees are bent and are slightly higher than your hips. So that would be like that or something. It seems uncomfortable to me. Most of us drive probably, like especially guys, drive truck style, southern redneck. You got seat all the way to the back, so forth. Maybe not. I'm from Arkansas. We have a lot of jokes there about different things. That's one of them, rednecks. So plan your lift. So when you're going to lift something heavily, that is heavy, you have to ask yourself, is it bulky? Like, bulky isn't just heavy. Bulky could be like, you could lift it, like you could physically lift it, but it's pretty awkward. And so are you going to need help with a box that's shaped octagonally, something like that? Just get help if you need help, and don't shy away from that. If it takes 5 extra minutes, that's great, because you're possibly going to prevent 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months of injury by taking 5 more minutes to do the work. That's it, exactly. Do you see any hazards in the area that you need to eliminate? Basically, you want to plan a route. If you're lifting something, you want to go the shortest path, but you want to go to the shortest path that's the flattest and that avoids hazards, whatever those be. If you need to go to like a handicap walkway so you avoid a curb because something's pretty heavy and you're having to kind of tiptoe with it, do that. Go to the handicap walkway, etc. Things like that. If you need a dolly, use a dolly if we have them. I think that the guy like Nathan and you guys have dollies that you use. So think about these things whenever you do any lifting at all. And then one of the best things, like if you're, I'll come to this, but if you're having to move things like on your own, don't pull them because you're using your back muscles quite a bit when you do that. Push them. Like there's a guy, I worked landscaping in Arkansas too, and I would go pick up barrels of oil, like 50-gallon barrels of oil. And one time, one of them, the bed of the truck was pretty slippery, and it nearly fell off. And it did fall off, but it got caught by the trailer on the back. So it didn't collapse and spill out on all the road. There was a prevention of, I guess it would have been, I don't know, EPA would have come out and OSHA would have come out and everybody else. Thank God that didn't happen. But I was right by the oil pickup place, the oil company. And the guy came out to help me push it back up, and he was like, hey, don't ever pull, because I was trying to pull on it some, and then I was trying to push, and he was like, don't ever pull. You got to push with your back, or push with your just push up with your legs and your arms, and that'll help prevent back injury quite a bit. So just remember to do that, and remember to lift with your legs and not with your back. Even when you come down, if you think you're lifting with your legs, you might still be lifting with your back. Just don't bend over. Don't bend over as much as possible. That's kind of a key to lifting. So there you go. Do lift with legs. Do not lift with back. Setting the load down correctly. So if you're carrying a load, the best way to put it down is to drop it in place. Don't try to lift it up above you, so forth. You'll need help for that. If you are not carrying a load yet, get another person to help you if you need it. That's pretty important. So really the keys to lifting properly are lift with your legs, not with your back. If it's too heavy, get somebody to help you. And then don't pull, push. Those are kind of if you guys can think of any others, that's great. But those are kind of key elements to safe lifting in my mind. And then back belts was one other issue. Do back belts prevent injury? This is another. This was on the slides. I haven't looked into this, so all I know is what you will learn here. There's a lack of scientific support, positively or negatively, concerning the use of back belts. NIOSH, which is the National Institute of Occupational Safety Hazards, I think, recommends that back belts not be used by those who have never been injured before. So if you have a good back, don't use a back belt because you're going to actually weaken those muscles most likely. That's my assumption about that.
I was told that it's because when people wear belts,
Yeah.
Your habits get sloppy. You have a belt on, so then you're like, I can bend over instead of
Got it.
squatting because I've got this belt on. And people start relying on the belt
On the
instead
belt
of
rather than safe.
lifting properly.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Good to know. There you go. And then companies, I don't know what these companies are, maybe FedEx, UPS, other companies that you're lifting stuff all the time, that instituted the use of back belts have also implemented more aggressive training and ergonomic programs. Ergonomic programs being programs to use like engineering, like using mechanical things rather than human. Like basically, you're minimizing the use of your strength to lift heavy objects is an ergonomic program. So companies are trying to decrease the risks to their employees. That's what we're trying to do here, I think. And then that's all. Go ahead, Paul.
As far as back injuries in the workplace and loss of time, where would that rank? Would it be like number one for loss of work days, or maybe would it be like second?
It's the highest.
It's the highest.
Yes, sir.
Number one.
It is number one.
He answered that earlier.
The
That's
second
okay.
one is when you're lifting, is it best to grip the load with your whole hand or maybe just your finger?
Yeah, probably your whole hands.
Okay.
Thank you, Paul. Let's see. Are there any other questions I need to cover? Now, if you're carrying a load and you need to change directions, shuffle your feet like a military man. Don't twist your body, and then bring your feet along with you. You know, you're not trying to dance with the load. You're just carrying it. So, is that it, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, there are about $50 to $60 billion a year spent in medical bills and workman's compensation bills for back injuries in this country alone. So that's a lot. That was, I think, as of last year, 2010. That's a lot of money, and a lot of pain. Like, yeah, a lot of people have back injuries, which is not fun. So now it's quiz time. Yeah. And thanks for your attention at 8:45 in the morning.
All right, everyone give David a hand. Now the standard has been set pretty high, but we need someone still to step up, so be thinking about that. Everyone done with their quiz?
No.
Start your quizzes. If you finish your quiz, take this time to think through some safety nominations.
And if there are no nominations, by default, the award goes to the safety officer, which happens to be me.
So please nominate some people.
Default.
All right, let's get started. First question, back pain is the second most common cause of lost work days. True or false? False. That is correct. Number 2, you're more likely to have back pain and injury if you are A, B, or C. A is correct. You guys are grading your own quizzes, so grade them as we go. Lifting the largest loads you can possibly handle helps strengthen your back. True or false? False. Before you lift and carry, plan a route to follow. That is A, B, or C.
B.
I put B.
B.
You said A and B, but it is
It's B. Straightest and flattest.
Okay. It's a trick question.
Oh, that's. I got it right.
Number 5. Number 5.
C.
C is correct. The key principle of safe lifting is to lift up with your legs. Let them do the most work. Number 6. When you start a lift, you squat down to the. When you start. Squat down to the load with your A. Yes. Knees bent and back straight. There should be like a should in there or something. Number 7, it's best to grip a load with your hands, not just your fingers. True or false? A is correct. True. To change direction when carrying a load, you move your feet instead of twisting. True or false?
True.
True is correct. When you carry a load, it should be A, B, or C. Chest, waist, or shoulder.
B.
A or B is correct.
There's an A or B?
A or B is correct. 10. When you unload, you should A, B, or C.
All 3.
A.
Or B, depending on how heavy it is.
We had this problem. You don't drop it, but you drop it in place. What they mean by drop is set.
Okay, that's not what
When you slide it into place, you're going to use
There's
the
no
back
definition of the
muscle.
word drop. No, because you're using your legs to sit down.
Should be B.
Beginning of
Sketchy. It's definitely not B.
Get another person?
It could be B. It could be B.
That's right.
There is a answer to question. This came up last safety, and it was between A and C. We will review and then send an email out.
Just like I think.
It still should be A though. I'm gonna as safety committee. Make sure if you haven't signed in that you do sign in. Also, before we leave, we have 2 new custodians that we haven't announced yet. This is their first safety meeting.
Wow.
Suresh. There's Suresh back at the back. Everyone wave to Suresh. And then Charles. Where's Charles? Charles next to Glenn. We are glad you guys have made it. All right. That's it. Remind everyone to turn in your quiz and safety nominations, and you're good to go. Thanks, guys.